What's going on, guys, gals, non-binary pals? Artisan Kane here, doing another team breakdown preview for the TPL playoffs. This time for the conference finals. Obviously, that means that we won our last match, and we did so against Mario. Great battle. A lot of fun. A lot of back and forth. I had to make some really perfect plays in order to come out on top on that one, but it came out in our favor. So we're definitely looking forward here to playing our next game here, the Hoenn Conference Finals, which basically means we're in the semifinals. We're in the top four, which is really exciting. But our competition is stiff. Matt, the coach of the Florida Barraskewda, is one of the best teams of the Hoenn Conference, and he has been really strong all season. He had a really long stretch of being undefeated, and he only dropped a couple of games towards the end of the year, one of which I believe was a forfeit. So in all reality, he only had one or two losses. So first off, we'll look at his team here. He has made several adjustments in the last couple weeks, so that kind of it needs to be adjusted for us. But the first player on his team is the Barraskewda. Barraskewda has kind of been his staple mon. Obviously, it's his mascot, but it's obviously a super hard-hitting Pokemon with Swift Swim in a format that allows Dynamax. It can get up its own rain from a Max Geyser and then just go to town. 136 base speed makes it one of the fastest mons in the game right now. So it's definitely a hard-hitting mon. Super high attack stats, so something to keep in mind here. We have to be very careful and make sure that the Barraskewda doesn't set up the rain for itself, or if it does, that we're able to answer that immediately. Otherwise, it could go on a tear. Next, he's got Frillish. Frillish is another recent pickup for him. Definitely, I think he picked it up for the water absorbability to make sure I don't have Dracovish just spamming Fish's Rend. It makes sense. Can't deny that. Especially a mon like Frillish, if it's got Naviolite on it, it becomes a lot more bulky. It also has basically everything that Jellicent, its fully evolved form, has in Will-O-Wisp, Strength Sap, things of that nature, which means that it can really cripple Pokemon, especially physical attackers, with the burns and then the stage drops from Strength Sap. It can keep itself nice and healthy as it cripples physical attackers. Next, he has Drampa, the normal dragon. Drampa is very, very slow, but it has a special attack stat through the roof. So something like a Specs Drampa really, really hurts a team, especially after a Draco Meteor. Even the Draco Meteor after dropping stages and stuff, it's very powerful. Now, he revealed last week that he was running Rosalie Berry, which was interesting. So that means he's not necessarily going to run Choice Specs, and he might run some sort of Resist Berry, something like that. That's important info to know. Because it means that he's not just rocking the same sets every week. He's doing his research and making sure he's prepared for the games. So we can't take anything for granted, especially on a mon like Drampa. Next is Quillfish. Quillfish is an Intimidator, water poison. It can also get up hazards in the form of toxic spikes. So it's a very versatile mon. Can be a very bulky mon also, depending on how it's EV'd, which can make it a really good utility for Matt. Coming in just to get an Intimidate off, then it can get a Toxic or a Toxic Spikes up, what have you. Since I only have one mon that is flying, something like a Toxic Spikes is really annoying for me to deal with. Next, he's got Silvally. In the draft format, Silvally is a really, really interesting mon because you never know what the typing is going to be because of its ability where you can attach whatever memory you want to it. So it's a very high value mon, and it's very unpredictable. Last week, I think he ran Silvally Steel. He's run a bunch of different types of Silvallis through the year. Looking at the matchup, because I have some difficulty with Fairy, I do anticipate a Silvally Fairy. It could be a Steel also, maybe even Dragon. But I definitely do think Fairy is the best bet for him. That multi-attack can hit pretty hard to most of my team. Next, he's got Bahiyim. Bahiyim is interesting in that it's very slow, but it also had similar to Drampa in that it's slow, but it has a very high special attack. Being a pure Psychic Mon, it can get up things like Trick Room. It has a really wide move pool. Things like Thunderbolt and whatnot in there. Also access to Recover. I do think this was also a pickup this week. So trying to rack my brain here, try to figure out why he went with Bahiyim over some of the mons that he dropped, which were Ferroseed and Pyukumuku. Trying to figure out why he did that. I think the best bet for him was maybe if he wants to get a Trick Room off, if he anticipates Sticky Webs or something, and he wants to try to take advantage of the slow speed and try to do a Trick Room. Obviously, his team is very slow. Well, 4 of his mons are very slow, and then Silvally, base 95, Barraskewda 136, with access to Swift Swim. So that makes mons like Drampa and Bahiyim a lot more usable if he does get a Trick Room up. So that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, he could just go for something like a regular Culber Berry on it, or even a Life Orb or Choice Specs or something on there, because it has a high special attack stat. So a lot of different things to keep in mind. Some new mons that we haven't seen premiere in the TPL yet. So it'll be interesting to see how Matt uses them. Now we can take a look at our team here. So starting off, we've got Lysithea the Mandibuzz. We're running Leftovers, max HP, primarily defensive, some special defense bulk, Impish Nature to give us a little bit more of the defensive boost, Toxic U-Turn, Knockoff, and Foul Play. Foul Play is primarily for mons like Silvally and Barraskewda to get some big hits off. We do have enough special defense to survive some hits from a Specs Drampa, or to survive mainly one hit from a Specs Drampa, just to try to see what we can do, get off a knockoff or whatnot to try to cripple it. In this match, I think knockoff pivoting is going to be really important. If I can keep Mandibuzz alive, making sure I can get rid of the Eviolite on the Frillish, or if it's holding a Culber Berry, or if Bahiyim is holding a Culber Berry, different things like that, just to get rid of the items on these different mons. Next, we've got Edelgard, Piloswine. Again, we're running a Violite. We generally run a Violate on Piloswine. And we're rocking Oblivious this week, mainly to make sure that we can't get intimidated from the Quillfish. Also, that we can't get taunted by that Quillfish, so we can get up rocks if we want to. Making sure that we're not intimidated is really important, because we can make sure that we can get off some hard-hitting Earthquakes freely. Again, this is all depending on what Silvally he brings, but he doesn't have any ground resist, and Quillfish actually, is weak to ground. So, we can get some hard-hitting Earthquakes off, and the immunity to taunt makes sure that we can get up rocks if we want to. Avalanche is on there in case we face a Drampa that hits us really hard. Avalanche will have the double power on there. That also depends on the Drampa's speed tiering and everything, depending on how many EVs he wants to put on there. It should be noted that our Piloswine is 0 EV'd, 0 IV'd, and that is to make sure that we can try to see if we can if Trick Room goes up, we might have a little bit more to work with Piloswine. Obviously, some of his mons are so slow that it won't be that beneficial, but that'll also depend on how he has his mons speed tiered with their EVs. Next, we've got LOMv rocking a sash again. That's mainly to make sure that we can take at least one hit, especially for a mon like Barraskewda. If Barraskewda is in the dynamax and it's got a rain up, LOMv can make sure it takes at least one hit, try to get an energy ball off. Energy ball does a ton to Barraskewda. We've also got our U-turn to make sure we can pivot in and out, depending on what we see. And then we have just the other three coverage moves. So the energy ball, the bug buzz, and the moon blast. Bug buzz is mainly for Behaim to do some big damage to that. And then the moon blast is just kind of our stab move. And then make sure that we can hit Drampa super hard. We've got 140 speed on there with the modest nature. That 140 makes sure that we outpace Jolly Max Speed Silvally, which means we outspeed everything not named Barraskewda. Next, we've got Wobbuffet. Very similar sets that I've been running with with Wobbuffet. Citrus Berry. This week we're running 220 defense, 36 special defense, and a calm nature. That's also to make sure we can survive a modest specs Draco Meteor from Drampa. And then, hit it back with Miracle, or if we can Destiny Bond something like the Barraskewda, that'll be a great way to try to revenge kill something. Because he does know that we're going to be Shadow Tag, it wouldn't surprise me if we had something that is running Shed Shell to make sure that it doesn't get trapped. Behaim also has access to teleport, so he might be able to teleport in and out, or he teleport out to get something that he wants, more favorable matchup, what have you. Dracovish, very similar set to what we've run. Choice Scarf, Strong Jaw, max attack, max speed, adamant nature to make sure that we're hitting a little bit harder. Vicious Rend, Earthquake, Crunch, and Outrage. Crunch is going to be pretty important because if we can anticipate a Frillish switch in, Crunch does massive damage to it. Again, we have to keep in mind the Intimidator of the Quillfish that can really take us down a peg as far as our attack stat. Also, he's got Barraskewda and Drampa, and Silvally can be whatever type on Silvally. So we have to be aware of the potential for water resists. So we can't just brainlessly be clicking Vicious Rend early in the game. We have to make sure that the conditions are set to make sure that we can do that late game. And then finally, we've got Shamir, Hydreigon, Life Orb set again this week. This week we're running Sub Nasty Plot. Dark Pulse, Earth Power, max special attack, 236 speed. Again, that kind of just covers our bases as far as giving us a stab coverage of Dark Pulse. He has no dark resist outside of whatever Silvally might be, and then Earth Power gives us some more coverage also for stuff like Quillfish, and again depending on what typing Silvally is. That's kind of our main thing here. I think if we get a good switch in for Hydreigon, we can get in a free substitute, free nasty plot, and then we can just go to town. Obviously, several conditions have to be met before that can happen. We definitely want to make sure that like the Barraskewda and the Silvally are taken care of. So we're going to have to be able to bait those different mons out. And basically just try to survive the Barraskewda's Dynamax, and then see what we can do. If we can try to trap it with Wobbuffet, unless it's running like a Shed Shell or something. If we can Destiny Bond it, we would definitely take that trade, the Wobbuffet for Barraskewda. But once that's done, we can definitely work our way around Mac's team. Obviously, on paper, it looks like our team's a lot more powerful than his, but because of his mon's different abilities, different move pools, it's gonna take a lot of not brainless playing to make sure that we can do what we want to do and put the game's momentum in our favor early, and then that way we can set up and sweep late game. All right, y'all. That's what I got. So hopefully this conference finals goes our way and we'll be in the finals. So we'll see. Thanks, guys.